Hi, everybody. I am Matt with K15T, and welcome to a very special live stream where we will be talking about all of the really exciting things that were announced at Team EU in Barcelona this year. But we're not just going to talk about them. We're going to talk through them. We're going to answer questions. We're going to get into the deeper stuff because, y'all, a lot was announced and there is so much to talk about. So let's begin at the beginning. First of all, if you have a question for us, because this is live, the whole intention is for you to throw your questions into the live chat. So if you have questions, use #question. Just, type in that # hashtag sign. If you're old enough, you know it was called a #. Some of our guests for today are nodding. They're old enough to know. Okay, so yeah, #question, drop that in the chat, and I will try to work that into our conversation. If you have like tech support questions, if you're like, how do I do this thing in Confluence? I don't know if we'll have time for that today, but we're talking about a lot of new things, a lot of concepts that have come out of Team EU. So throw those questions in. Hi, everyone in Leipzig. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, co-hosts from Ace Yerevan. Oh my goodness, I'm saying that incorrectly. It's so nice to see you all here. Hi. Hello, everyone. Okay, it is my great honor and privilege to let you know that I am not the only one here. So first off, we are joined by none other than Patricia from K15T. Hi, Patricia.
Hi there.
Then we have, of course, joining us additionally is Margot. Hi, Margot. Thanks for joining this stream.
Hi, everyone.
We also have Dustin from Atlassian. Hey, Dustin.
Hello, friends.
Look at this group. Finally, or not finally, we have Javi. Javi, nice to see you. And finally, not to be forgotten, I would never, is Sasha. Hi, Sasha.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Matt.
All right, so it is really nice to have this group here. We have some Atlassian folks. We have some people from outside Atlassian. We have a nice mix of everybody so that hopefully we have great perspectives from all over the place. Hi, Haley. Hi, Max. Hey, Nebsky. Patricia, you're getting a lot of shout outs in the chat. All of your friends or your fans are in here.
my
Friends and
family.
Friends and family. Yeah.
Thanks.
Welcome to Patricia's party. Patricia is, kind of actually the host here. So what I want to start off with, so we can get right into things, is I would love to know from each of you just like, let me know your name and what you do and where. And really quickly, what is your most exciting thing that came out of Team EU? So let's do Patricia.
Okay, so I'm located in southern Germany and I lead a community chapter here in Freiburg. I work at K15T as a content creator, and my awesome team with Matt and Chris and also Stefan Mixmaster in the chat, we are creating best practices articles and videos for Confluence and also the Teamwork Collection, and writing a newsletter weekly about Confluence. And about Team Europe, well, I'm a huge fan of AI in general, and I loved almost all the announcements regarding Rovo, especially that we can now use scenarios and skills for the Rovo agents. But I actually look most forward to the feature that's not rolled out yet, I guess, that third-party agents, for example, Canva and HubSpot also. So yeah, this is really exciting to me.
Amazing. And I am going to say, like and subscribe to this live stream, please, as it's going on, so we can let YouTube know. Don't worry, be happy. Also, Patricia does make a really great weekly Confluence newsletter that we publish. So you should subscribe to that. It's really excellent. Okay, Margot, I would love to know, tell us your name, what you do, and what's your favorite thing from Team EU?
Hi everyone, I'm Margot. I'm head of marketing at Obot. I'm a huge fan of OKRs. You may know this already. And I'm also Atlassian champion for Kyiv chapter in Ukraine and Atlassian creator. And I post a lot of content on all things Atlassian, some guides, some workshops, and stuff like that. About the most exciting updates, I'm really looking forward this deeper integration within the Atlassian Team Graph, not only for the Atlassian apps, but also for the marketplace apps. I think it's really bringing things on the next level, making things better connected. Like it's not only using some GQL to connect data from different apps. It's bringing it to the next level. And one more thing, actually, what our customers are very excited about, their isolated cloud is finally coming at the beginning of 2026, and this is what is very important for a lot of government organizations and for many banks. So this is the second thing I'm very excited for.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The isolated clouds are so important. Some of us are like, oh, so boring. And then some people are like, we have been dying for this. Thank God. Hi from New York. Hi, Howard. Nice to see you all here. Dustin, who are you? What do you do? Favorite thing from Team EU?
How much time do I have? How many hours?
You have like a minute.
Oh, okay. Well, boo. Hello, everyone. My name's Dustin. I'm on the Confluence product marketing team. Takeaways from Team EU. There's so much stuff. Like Rovo for everyone and everywhere is insane. I am obsessed with that. Software collection being announced, service collection being announced, marketplace apps get access to the teamwork graph. Like, it's crazy the number of announcements. I'm very selfish about the fact that I work in Confluence and the teamwork collection. And so for me, my favorite thing is the create with Rovo capability in Confluence. And like, just once you start messing around with it, it just fundamentally changes like how you build and connect and collaborate with knowledge. Aya and I, outbound PM on the Confluence side, we got to demo this in Barcelona, and people came up to us afterwards. And like my favorite quote was like, I'm never going to look at the create button the same way ever again in Confluence. And so for me, that's just, again, one, I love Confluence, but then two, you just think about the way people create and collaborate in knowledge. And so the create with Rovo capability is my favorite thing.
I love this. We're going to talk a little bit more about create with Rovo in just a little bit. If I can press my buttons correctly. Javi, who are you? What do you do? What's your favorite thing from Team EU? Javi, we can't hear you. You're muted. We miss the sound of your voice.
You know what? I do as well, so I appreciate that. No, Dustin took the easy one, but that was a big one. As Dustin said, there were so many things. Unlike Dustin, though, I am not selfish, so I like to think of any kind of feature or capability that was announced that touches all the things. One thing that I was particularly interested in, and again, my name's Javier. I sit on our Teamwork Collections product marketing team. We released custom onboarding or announced custom onboarding within Jira, and specifically why that excited me was this is the first time, if someone is new to a team or is new to just, joining a space in Jira, they may not understand how to get started or really where to start. And so with custom onboarding, any admin can now bring in, whether that be Confluence pages or Loom resources, to really help these users walk through Jira for the first time, to kind of really minimize any of that confusion or hardship when just joining a space for the first time. So custom onboarding was something really exciting. And again, why I liked it is that it touches all the things across our Teamwork collection to ensure that everyone is getting some kind of flavor out of Jira and Confluence and Loom, which is great.
Love, love, love this. Finally, Sasha, what's your name? What do you do? What were you into at Team EU?
Well, you gave away most of it. My name is Sasha. I lead our Loom adoption team here at Atlassian. And beyond the highlights of getting to meet you in person, Matt, and having dueling talks at the same time, the highlights for me were, in particular, being relatively Loom centric, seeing everyone get super excited about instant language translation in app. and seeing what it's like to record a video and then consume it in your native language. People got really excited about that. That's going to be GA real soon here. But the big stuff is all around meeting note taker and how now Loom is part of the teamwork graph, how you can have any live meeting and all of your meeting data live in Confluence, which means now Confluence can contain all of your important data as well, including now live meetings. And that means Rovo gets access to it to get insights, to surface insights, and to take action for you. And that, I think, is hugely exciting for everybody. And that was definitely a really nice thing to see people's reaction to over that week in Barcelona.
Yeah. Yeah. It was an honor to meet you in person as well, Sasha. Yeah, these are all exciting things and more, which you're about to dive into. Really quick, great to see you all in the live chat. We just dropped a quick poll in there. Let us know, what of the Teamwork Collection apps are you using? Some? All? Let us know. Also, Emily, to answer your question, when we're talking about isolated cloud, those are that is the option to have private cloud. So it is it is Atlassian cloud, a platform that is completely isolated within within your own tech stack environment, which is important for extremely regulated environments. There's also government cloud, which is similar. So no, it is not data center, not hosted data center. That is a thing of the past. All right. Now, I would love to let everybody talk, but I have a special request from Dustin that he wants to be the first one to talk because, okay, fine, Dustin. Dustin, we had, so there were some things announced around collections, right? And we're going to talk a lot about the Teamwork Collection. But first and foremost, could you just very quickly tell us what happened? There's other collections that happened. Tell us about that, please. As quickly and succinctly as you can.
Yeah. So back in Team 25, whoa, almost fell off camera there. Sorry. That's how excited I am. There was the announcement of the Teamwork Collection, which is Jira, Confluence, and Loom, and then Rovo is in there as well. And that was really our big, hey, we believe in the concept of teamwork, and we fundamentally believe that every company should have access to these apps. And here's our opinionated view and our point of view of how knowledge and work and async meetings, all of that combined. And that's cool because people had such a strong reaction to that of yes, we know you have these apps, but your point of view on how we can be more productive as a company to use them. And then with Team EU, the ability to say, hey, it's not just around teamwork, right? We know software teams that you crave the ability to use specific apps like Bitbucket and a couple others together, the service collection, right? If you're in the customer support world or HR or ops, right? These collections of apps that Atlassian has had for years and has been evolving, but a really streamlined perspective on use these together, right? And also you can buy them all together. And then here is the roadmap for not just how you use them together, but also the integrations we've built for them to make you more successful. And I think the feedback that I got from so many customers and attendees was just, I knew these things existed. We used some of them together, but because you've drawn a circle around them and you said, this is how you can be a more effective ops team. This is how how you can build a more effective software delivery pipeline was a big deal, right? And I think if you were at Team in Barcelona with us, and just the way the expo floor was laid out, and all of those teams were grouped together, and then literally it was like a roller coaster ride of demos. You could just see how one flowed into the other, flowed into the other, flowed into the other. That was pretty powerful, and that was just an exciting thing to see. Not just as a product marketer who likes to demo, but also as just a person who enjoys watching apps become more than just tech and really become solutions that customers go wild about. So anyway, I could keep going on about that, but that's my caffeinated, summarized response.
Yeah. Can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I think Atlassian, is leaning towards simplicity, because before there was ITSM, and quite many times ago, for example, there was a new team member joining the company and was like, oh, what is ITSM? Say it again. What is in there? And now it's service collection, and it's understandable. It's about customer service, and within many across the Atlassian ecosystem, they're doing a lot of the simplification and rewarding recently, and it's also like it's very important, and especially important for new employees who are not familiar with the ecosystem, who are not familiar with Atlassian, and my internal marketer says that it's a huge step forward, and it's also very important, not only from technical perspective.
I really love that, Margot. I think that's absolutely right. I don't know how many times I Googled ITSM when Atlassian first started talking about that, to just be like, and like at the time I was in ITSM and I was like, I don't know what this is. Like, is this something that like C-level people say? Like, truly, it's so nice to be like, oh, service. A lot of us do that. Like, thank God. Thank God. Okay. And the marketers in the room are like, oh no. Okay. So we just did put out a poll, and 96% of y'all are using Jira, which is why my very first question, Javi, I'm feeling like maybe you can help us here. But one of the big things that was, I mean, not big, it seems small, but also it's huge for a lot of people, is Jira projects are now called spaces. Why would you do this to us, Javi? And also, why would you do this to us? Could you tell us more about this choice and like why this small change that makes a lot of people's lives a lot more difficult? Why does the team feel like this is really important for the future?
Yeah, it's interesting because this is something that we got a number of requests to change to spaces. But mainly because what we were seeing with our customers too is that when we think of a project, we think maybe of something that's time bound. There's a clear start and stop date to some of those work. But a lot of folks were using Jira as these more so evergreen containers, these spaces that really contained a lot of different projects, not just a single project. So not only did we change it to space for that reason, but space really kind of aligns more so with the terminology across our apps as well. And so as we start thinking about collections, and as we start thinking about our product roadmap, it's not just about Jira anymore. It's how does Jira work with Confluence? How does Confluence work with Loom? How do these products, again, work together? So really trying to make some progressive steps into ensuring that, again, that those ways of working can be repeated but well understood by anyone that's in the apps themselves was definitely a push forward. But again, it was based on how do our teams and how our customers actually use our products today, and how do we kind of meet them in the middle of where they're at and where they should be going?
It hurts, but also it does feel right. There's spaces in Loom. There's spaces in Confluence. Why not spaces in Jira? Thoughts and prayers to everyone on the live stream who's going to have a lot of conversations with users about like, hey, it's different now, but it doesn't really change the way we're using Jira. It actually aligns Jira with the way we're using Jira. So it does track, but yeah, there will be issues.
Nice.
Okay.
No issues.
Thank
Work
you.
time. Work items. Matt.
Thank you.
No
Thank you,
issues
Margaret.
anymore.
Thank you. Oh, God. I was hoping someone would catch my mistake. There will never be issues ever again. Okay, so let's move on to a little something we like to call Rovo. Big news, if y'all have not heard of it, there's this little AI tool that's actually spread across the entirety of the Atlassian platform called Rovo, and it was a bit of the star of the show. So we'll talk quite a bit about Rovo today, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knows on the stream. So Rovo has now moved beyond the team collection apps and now works in Focus, Bitbucket, Home Talent, and Jira Product Discovery. So it's all over the place now, which is excellent. And it is being rolled out to all paid users. So that means before it was accessible to everybody on Premium. Now it's available to everyone who is paying for Confluence or for any Atlassian app, not the free tiers. And there's also now a version of Rovo you can pay for if you're not using any Atlassian platform apps. So this is really exciting for a lot of reasons. Rovo is being pitched as your virtual or your AI teammate. And that was in my opinion, kind of a marketing fluff when that was first said at Team, was that in Anaheim? No. When that was first talked about, I was like, oh, that's cute. In Team EU, there was actually like real traction there, and it's pretty exciting stuff. So what I would love to ask about, and I know this has already been mentioned just a little bit, I would love to hear about Rovo. So there are two things talked about in Team EU: Rovo Chat Canvas and Create with Rovo. And Dustin, you talked a little bit about this. I would love to know, what is this? What is this thing that's being talked about?
Yeah, let me start with the Create with Rovo part of it, because I think people were very much like, well, Rovo was already in Confluence. Like, you could have a chat with Rovo on the sidebar and like it would do things. But like, what does this mean to create with Rovo? And for me, as I think about someone I've been using Confluence for a decade plus. And, when I think about doing work in my day, it's like, oh, I want to brainstorm, I want to kick off a project, I want to capture some knowledge. So often my brain goes, I'm going to go create a page, or I'm going to go create a live doc, or I'm going to go create a whiteboard. And there are times when like the modality of the project switches. The Create with Rovo part is insane because I don't start with what I like, the format of what I want to build. I start with the problem I'm trying to solve. And so like you've got it up right here. It's this idea of like, I go to the create button, I say create with Rovo, and I tell it, I want to kick off a project with several other folks. I want to do a brainstorm. I don't use a content type, and I give it specifics. This is about launching new features in Confluence and making sure we've got awesome community posts that our community champions can absorb and use all those resources. Do this for me. And the insane thing about it is it takes that request, it generates the appropriate content type, right? Hey, I want a plan. Likely it's going to give me a page or a live doc or something like that. I want a brainstorm or I want an idea session. It'll create a whiteboard, most likely. But more importantly, what it pulls in and then the format that it builds is totally customized to your ask. And this is like, we always get this question, like, how do I see the teamwork graph? And, inside of between, all the Atlassian apps you're using. And the joke now is like, just create with Rovo and you'll see it work in action, where it'll pull in all of these resources. My favorite story is I was actually running this internally for a brainstorm, and I was like, hey, here's the problem I'm trying to solve, create this brainstorming session, whatever. Creates this whiteboard. And it proceeds to pull in resources from a parallel team that I knew was working on something kind of close, but I had not been exposed to those yet. I did not know they existed. I did not know they intersected with the topic that I wanted to talk about. And then the way it actually structured this brainstorm was to use a psychological time-bound approach where it said, hey, consider the following constraint, give everyone 5 minutes to do X and Y, right? Which is kind of like a disruptive brainstorm approach. It did all of this in about 8 minutes. And I just sat back and looked at it and was like, for me to have set this up, just dropping, dragging, copying templates, like whatever, probably like a 20-minute scenario, to have even done the research to fuel it, like, I don't even know. And it stunned me because it was probably the first time where I was like, this not only just probably saved me 90 minutes in a 2-day period, the output was dramatically better because it had access to the teamwork graph. It pulled in the information, and it just was a more complete and holistic picture. And so for me, like, that was kind of this like, whoa moment where I've been leveraging Rovo for more than a year to do work, but this is where it dramatically changed my concept of how to do work inside of Confluence as a builder, as a collaborator. And I think the second part of Create with Rovo is not just that initial experience of building content and building knowledge and capturing it, but also like the ability to take that whiteboard and then just like summarize and make it into a page and then convert it to a live doc. And then in that editing experience, being able to call up Rovo and say like, retranslate this and do all this stuff. And again, it's just like, if you're working alongside people in other industries or, something like that, and they're not using AI tools in their everyday, and you just look at the process of creating and brainstorming, transferring and doing all these things, and then you look at what we can do now inside of Confluence across the entire Atlassian ecosystem, it's night and day. Like things that take days now take hours, right? Things that take hours now take minutes. And the output is just so dramatically better. So for me, like this fundamentally just changed the way I work inside of Atlassian, full stop. And I don't know what I'm going to do if I ever leave Atlassian and don't have access to it. It's going to just make me cry.
And we don't want that, Dustin. We don't want that. Hey, live chat, I am seeing everything y'all are saying here. Thank you for the clarification. Yes, some of the terminology changes are scheduled for like mid-December. So like end of year is when we're really going to see these things happening. Thank you, y'all. Emily was wondering, there was a note about, are we having an official funeral for Data Center? Y'all, we should have a live stream, just do a full wake, and we can like share stories and be like, yeah, I remember writing this really janky JavaScript customization where I absolutely made this delicate thing that did a very unique skill set, and like, can't light our candles to those things. That sounds great. I had a question from Emily who was wondering, is there a plan to allow pages referenced by Rovo to be tracked? I'm losing valuable insights because I don't know what knowledge my users are actually using. Anybody know?
That is a great question. I don't have a definitive answer or a timeline. I do know that, as we think about how champions and admins track utilization of Confluence and track the usage of knowledge, right? Like you go in, whether you're managing content or managing analytics, and you can see what users are referencing, what pages, and what's most highly, being tracked. And that's a great way to understand, success of knowledge and things like that. The team is thinking very, very thoughtfully and intentionally about what does introducing something like Rovo, whether it's create with Rovo chat, all or search, how do you track that popularity, right? Because that doesn't show up as a defined user. So I don't have a specific answer on that, but that question is very much in line with a lot of thinking that's happening internally right now.
Yeah.
Well,
we need
partially
analytics.
Partially if it's quoted as a resource, probably some of the users inside your organization will go to that page on Confluence if they want, to explore more. And if you see, the rise in viewers in that Confluence page, that might signal, that might be used as a third-party signal that maybe a robot was distributing this content. So just for now, as a workaround, I think that might work.
All right, back to the
sorry,
topic.
Matt. I did
No,
not, Matt,
absolutely.
for talking over you.
That's what you're here for, Margot. I brought in professionals for a reason. Okay, talk over me, please. I'm begging you. Just to like wrap this up. So, Dustin, you were just talking about create with Rovo. Can anybody tell me what is Rovo Chat Canvas? Because I'm like, that was announced, and I'm seeing Canvas. It's your new scratch pad within chat. And I watched the video, and it's the same thing. Is it the same thing? Can someone help me, please?
Yeah, I think the way we talk about Canvas is really to introduce that new modal of like, when you use Create with Rovo, essentially what you do is you launch this, I like to think of it like a sandbox where you're not actually launching a piece of content that other people can view yet. And that Canvas experience is very much like, hey, I'm having a direct conversation with Rovo. And while I'm in that sandbox initial creation, it doesn't live in the content tree. And it's very much a like, I'm going back and forth. I can edit things, right? It's a Canvas-like feel, but it is not visible to anybody yet, right? And this is where, for folks that are very heavy duty like page users in Confluence, where they were like, hey, is it like the draft mode of a page when it first started? It's like, exactly. Like you are in that initial content creation motion. There's more that's going to come out around like how we use that word canvas, right? And so, but like,
got it.
In context of create with Rovo, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Matt, can I jump in too real quick?
Please.
Okay, this is why you brought the professionals. No.
It's true. Please.
No, yeah, and I would say too, like for a lot of customers too, that maybe have this stigma or perception of like, when it came to Confluence, just the term like publishing, it felt scary for a lot of folks. I think, this modal that Dustin's talking about really gives them that opportunity to be creative and really kind of like flex, with this AI tool, like just different ways of working and to not feel like they are kind of bound to any kind of one structure. So I think it's really powerful, again, just to play, and just to get used to the tool itself. So just wanted to add that in there, that, not all work has to be final. Like, this is something that you can really kind of utilize and understand different ways in which you can move your work forward, your team's work forward, and just continue to contribute to Confluence as a whole.
I think this is really, this Canvas idea is really exciting to get people to not have to think so much about tools, which is big. It's something I'm very passionate about. Like, people are just trying to do stuff. So I want Rovo to just help me figure out, where should this thing go? Like, if I don't know what a work item in Jira is, and I'm just like, I just want to plan something, I want Canvas eventually to be like, oh yeah, let me make a bunch of work items for you. Cool idea. Love that. Rustim commented that they're using Rovo for like holiday approvals, sick leaves, questions that people have every day that like now they can just get answered. That's so cool. Also, 54% of y'all are using Rovo, which is pretty cool. With that said, let's not talk about Rovo. Let's talk about something else. And I would really love to call from the shadows Sasha, because there were some new features announced for Loom and Confluence that are very complementary. And we're seeing some really cool new modalities coming to both of these that work very nicely together in writing things and turning them into audio, and taking audio and video and turning it into writing. So just so everyone knows kind of what was announced, there were some new features for Loom and Confluence shared, where there are now audio briefings in Confluence where you can create really quick audio summaries for like on-the-go listening. So those are available in the browser and soon on the mobile app. And then on the Loom side, live transcripts coming from your meetings. So not only can you just have it create a transcript from your meeting and some meeting notes pages, but soon you'll be able to contribute to those notes, and it will create a Confluence page like really immediately, and you'll get to view all of this in the desktop experience. So Sasha, tell us more. Tell us why Loom is the greatest thing of all time and why this changes everything.
Like Dustin would say, then how much time do I have? I'll just, I think run on the power that you just gave me, which is just focusing on this one area, and I'm gonna like expand a little bit into like the note taker more generally. As being, now because Loom is incredibly tightly integrated across the ecosystem and part of the teamwork graph, when you are running a meeting and you have your note taker join, it not only creates a Confluence page right before, it actually can create it well before, so you can actually now have a page where you include your agenda, and that surfaces an app in that live Confluence part of the desktop app where you get live transcription. You can actually toggle back between both of those in a simple screen. And so what that means is you can take your own notes live in that Confluence page while you see the live transcription, and all of that's happening while you're participating in a meeting. And so it's taking the power of what exists today, which is you get incredible AI summaries and notes and action items, and now you can actually contribute your own while participating live, and it all then immediately lives within Confluence. And again, like that layer where everyone has been talking about, creating content, and a lot of like the work about creating that content that you're using, and thinking about Rovo to create actually also starts in your live meetings. What we're doing right now, we're all having a discussion. Imagine if you could just take that and say, all right, create this project kickoff from, our live discussion, and then it's automatically going to create work items based off of, Dustin and Javi telling me to do everything. And now they automatically get assigned to me, and I can take those and begin work right after. So that's like the big picture vision is, I'm able to take notes live, it's going to go, and then I'll have a Loom recording in which I can then, right now, I can choose kind of some content to create from that. But big picture is Rovo is going to be there too eventually, which means you can take that and you can tell it what you need it to be, what it needs to do with that live data, and then it gets done. So Loom is not just like your video tool, and that's amazing in of itself, but it's now the bridge where what we're talking about is just like an ecosystem where everything is able to be connected, and you're able to then tap into AI with Rovo, able to do things automatically for you with now live meetings, the things that we're all bogged down doing all the time, where we don't necessarily have the extra time to do like the creation, even though it's super quick now. That live meeting is also part of that same experience, and that's going to be huge for people, and we're really excited about that. And so within that context, you see like Rovo, now you can plug in your Loom recordings and say, hey, create this for me, tell me what's been going on. And you can think about, all right, that's cool in a single instance. What happens when you have that data, your team syncs and your projects, project meetings over 6 months to a year and beyond, and then you as a leader can go in and say, what's been going on? What are our biggest blockers over time? What is like the status of these 3 projects? And Rovo sees all of that, can synthesize that because it has access to every single transcript over time. That's huge, huge, huge for teams, for leaders, and for anybody that wants to get insight and then immediately take action with Rovo. And that's what, we got really excited about sharing with people, and we saw a tremendous, response from that.
I love this so much. If anybody wants to know more about Loom, please like and subscribe here, because Sasha and I will be talking in depth in January all about Loom. So if you're like, I want more Sasha, welcome to the club. Join us in January. Sasha, we have a fun observation, because I know that Loom is getting better at understanding different languages that are being spoken and auto-selecting which one is there. We have a comment, ironically, someone from Switzerland saying, yeah, the German understanding is just not great. Is the team actively improving these over time?
So yes, that is going to be a huge area. So record more, get us more, Swiss German in there. We actually live had a Bavarian German test this out, and it worked really well compared. So like language, the more it's used, the better it will be. And, that's actually one of the beauties of AI more generally. LLMs are really good at translating language, but they got, getting the data, and having more data over time will just improve that experience. And we've seen that over the last year. We've actually been experimenting with language, in-house. It's a huge priority because we see the need. It was a pretty, I think, it made a ton of sense to debut a lot of this live for people in Team EU in Barcelona, where a lot of languages are spoken. And so I think you will see that as a priority for us. And so I'm glad you brought that up. It will get better regardless of the region and the dialect that you are speaking of any language. That is you're gonna see improvements for sure over time. It is a priority.
Excellent, excellent. And Rustem pointed out also, we would all like to see support for multiple languages being spoken as well, those being identified on transcripts, translatable, all the same thing. There's a lot to do over time. Quickly, I'm going to jump into a rapid fire question round, because we have a lot of questions from people. And if y'all know the answers to these questions, spout them off quickly so we can get back to it. Is Rovo powering the JSM help desk agent yet? Does anybody know? It hasn't been in the past. Was that part of any of the announcements? I don't believe so.
Skip.
All right. We're gonna phone a friend.
Circle back.
That is a good question. I don't believe so. Is there a timeline or information on additional costs, like if all Rovo credits are used? I don't think Rovo is credit based, is it? If you're paying for Rovo, you can do as many Rovo things as you can.
So there was some circulation, I would say, in the air about Rovo changing its payment model in the future, based on how people use it. So it should be coming in some future time, because people are using this more actively, but there is no precise, like tires right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
People from Atlassian can specify if they know something more precise.
Yeah, what we're saying at Team is that, early FY26 is when, if that were to change, something that we would be announcing, but we would be giving 90-day notice before anything was active. And a lot of the things also too, Matt, that were announced at Team when it came to like consumption-based modeling, like credits and stuff like that as it relates to AI, is all to ensure that some of those things don't happen. Like from the admin's perspective, like how do you almost gate, some of your credits to ensure that you're not going over or that you're not reaching any kind of limits to where your billing cost is going to be astronomical or anything like that. So as of right now, the time that we understand is FY26, but that's the timeline that I have for you to share right now.
This is why I joined this live stream, so I can learn these things. Is it possible to implement Copilot into the Atlassian environment? Does Copilot work with the knowledge or the teamwork graph? I know that you can use connectors to integrate Microsoft products with Rovo, but I don't know that Copilot be jiving with teamwork graph.
I had a question that was similar to this, which I think the short answer is not right now. Right? Obviously, the conversation around how are we allowing, whether it's API or whether deeper integrations, access to the teamwork graph. Same kind of. It's not vague, but encouraging. There's a lot of conversation around this. It's first going to come to obviously marketplace apps, right? Anything on Forge. But when it comes to external third-party conversations, right? Like, could you implement Copilot against the teamwork graph, right? And keep asking those questions because the goal, especially from the teamwork collection standpoint, is meeting customers where they are to produce knowledge that drives impact. And so it's an evolving conversation, but the answer right now is no. But again, it really gets back to the power of the teamwork graph inside of the Atlassian ecosystem and massive organizations recognizing what else could this do, right? When we start thinking about other forms of information, right? And is this a teamwork graph into another ecosystem? Is this another ecosystem coming into the teamwork graph? What does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah, someone mentioned in the chat there are MCP connectors, but I believe again that's for integrating out the third party into the teamwork graph and into the Atlassian platform, not the other way around. We are getting so many good questions and we have so much great stuff to talk about. I have to kind of speed things up a little bit. Really quickly, Emily was wondering, are there plans to bring some basic Loom functionality into things like Confluence and Jira? Because just budget-wise, paying for Loom at the moment isn't really an option. I'm thinking at the moment, we're talking teamwork collection. That's where everybody's minds are. We won't do too much more talking about that, Emily. It is a great question. I think, continue to communicate to your friendly Atlassians that budget is important, and I'm hoping we'll continue to see more flex on teamwork collection. Pricing is really difficult with a platform, especially one where AI was just piled in, and trying to price that part is also really difficult. But let's look really quickly at the other side of this new audio fun time, which is actually part of Confluence Premium, Emily, which is all about audio briefings in Confluence. So the idea is that you can have Confluence pages, you can have briefings created from one or more Confluence pages that are spoken to you. That is live in the web right now as an Atlassian lab, and it is also something that will be coming to mobile, I think, early next year. So this is a really powerful thing because the idea is you actually can create playlists of content. So, you could, if you've come back from holiday and you just want to listen to, hey, tell me all of the important things that came out of my team's meeting notes that we recorded with Loom. You can potentially use audio briefings to catch back up on this. Now, Dustin, I know you're dying to talk about this, but we have to talk about something else because agents, kind of a big deal for Rovo. And frankly, there's something very new that has come out with agents. And Patricia, I was wondering, could you tell me a little bit about skills and what is it? Skills and
Scenarios.
scenarios.
Yes.
Thank you. I was like, there is
Yes.
another word there.
You're welcome.
What is going on with agent skills and scenarios?
So that's scenarios is a really, really cool function so that you can have one agent for different opportunities, so to speak. For example, when we write our newsletter, we want to make sure that there's a spelling and grammar check, and also that it meets the tone of voice. So we have one scenario for that. And we also created a new scenario that this agent helps us to do research, and we could embed the Atlassian community as a research helper to do that. Yes, and I love those skills because you can do anything. You can send some automations to Slack, some notifications and other things. You can create comments on a confluence page when there's something wrong. So I think the good thing of scenarios and skills is that every team from every company, every branch will have some agents that are really, really helpful to them and can help them reduce their daily business work, so that they can be more creative, more innovative.
You might be wondering why
Yeah,
I've
I'd
asked
like
Patricia this
to-
question. It's because she wrote
Sorry.
a really great Confluence newsletter about it last week. So in the chat, you can subscribe to our weekly Confluence newsletter.
But
and
it's
read more.
all teamwork. We are a great team with Matt and Steffen in the chat and Chris not in the chat. It's all the team, the K15T team.
It's true. It's true. That's why you should subscribe. Margot, what are your thoughts? Go ahead.
Yeah, so on the scenarios and agents. So for example, if you have an agent that is doing a specific job, but it should be, tackled a little bit differently for different teams. So I would bring my favorite example, since I'm a fan of OKR framework and I was using OKR agent actively. There would be a little bit different approach for the team using OKRs. For example, if it's an engineering team and if it's a sales team and if it's a marketing team, there would be kind of different approaches there. And one thing is like creating, many copies of one agent. Which is also a way to go. And then another thing is utilizing scenarios so that you can, set up different approaches depending on in a specific direction of a task, not like tens or dozens of agents. So this is one of the practical use cases that scenarios can bring into your life.
I'm very excited about these. I think it's very exciting to be able to pick skills in more of a menu approach to see how Rovo agents can work with our other stuff. It feels much more natural. Scenarios are so powerful because all of us people, we learn the different scenarios where we should be implementing our own skills. So why not, help create our virtual teammates in this way? This is like bringing out like a larger question here and a bigger focus around building. And I want to talk about that in a minute. But first of all, Sasha, Rustim pointed out, when can Rovo talk? When can we invite Rovo to a Loom meeting? Because we just saw that we could invite or we can assign Jira work items to Rovo. So when are we going to invite Rovo like directly to a Loom meeting? So Rovo, instead of having all of you on as guests, I can just have a couple of Rovo agents that are like, actually, Matt, you should know this. When can we expect
I don't know. Are we ready to hand the keys totally to AI, and then we just sit back and sit on our dining room table eating breakfast and watching all the work get done? Yeah, I mean, we're going to get there, right? I can't say when Rovo will be able to join as your fully autonomous meeting avatar, but we will have, as a next step, Rovo. You see, Loom AI is what lives within Loom right now in product. Obviously, once everything gets out of Loom and into Confluence or Jira, Rovo, you'll see can action, and Rovo has access to all of the Loom data, but soon Rovo will actually be what lives in Loom itself as well. And so that's, I know, like the next phase is, while it can't be a participant in your meeting yet, it can certainly be right there when your meeting's finished, and it can do whatever you need it to do directly within Loom. And so that is definitely on the roadmap. I can speak to that with confidence.
I can't wait. I can't wait to, like, Super Smash Brothers style, just have 4 Looms in a Zoom just talking to each other. Wow, no, let's not do that. Maybe let's not do that. That sounds like even more of an echo chamber than we already find on the internet. Speaking of the internet, real quick, in case you didn't notice, I'm in this little browser called Dia, which now officially is part of Atlassian. They couldn't talk about it at all at the conference because the deal hadn't been closed. The deal has been closed. No, you can't use Rovo in it yet, but I'm sure you will be able to soon. So if you haven't checked out Dia, it's pretty awesome. Except there's no tab groups. I need tab groups. So I need tab groups. If anybody from the browser company in New York, aka Atlassian, is listening, please bring me tab groups. And then I will use your very, very cool browser. But if y'all haven't checked that out, that's a new part of the Atlassian family. Another part of the Atlassian family is Rovo Studio, which we have heard about before, but Rovo Studio is like next level now. I would really love to know from the group. We're talking about agents. We're talking about building automations. We're talking about, like, not engineers creating automations, not IT people creating automations. What is Rovo Studio? And as a person who's just doing my job, why do I care about this?
I can take a stab at it, and then Javi can... Oh, no, you go ahead.
All right, Margot.
Yeah, so one of the exciting capabilities, what is coming, is the ability for customers to create their own apps, not just like Atlassians, not just Atlassian marketplace vendors, but also customers themselves. It's a tricky and interesting time we are living right now, because it's not like that much about technical capabilities anymore. I would say it's more about, understanding the work that needs to be done, understanding different scenarios. And it's bringing a lot of flexibility, more capabilities for customers. I would say from the marketplace vendor side, a lot of vendors are seeing this like, oh my gosh, would it be a threat for us? Would it be customers creating stuff by themselves? And then would it be secure for customers to create that stuff? Would they think about all the hundreds small scenarios here? So this is in general what's happening. And yeah, let me give the word to Atlassians, who can explain everything, deeply and technically.
Oh, it's quite the setup. I could take a quick stab at it. This is a conversation we had a bunch in Barcelona, and I'll go back a sec and just say, if you're on the live stream, you're like, prior to this, it was just Rovo and building agents, right? But now I'm hearing about like agents and scenarios and skills and studio, and it's a pretty fun way to actually talk about, like, essentially what happened was we saw people creating agents with Rovo in these incredibly intuitive, really kind of automated orchestration workflows. But then we also had this really heavy usage for very straightforward, summarize this page. Build in a table that looks like X and Y. And so the first thing I'll call out is like the differential between like an agent and a skill is just skills are really like the atomic level for Rovo of like a simple action that, people take all the time. And you'll see these most often built into, whiteboards or other content types inside of Confluence or other things like that. Whereas agents are now really kind of a big, like they're kind of getting their own space to become highly involved, but like zero code involved workflow automators that can take actions, make changes, do all sorts of crazy stuff, which is why scenarios are so important, because we saw people building these really involved agents, but then they're like, but I want to tweak it for a marketing scenario or an ops scenario. Like scenarios is now an instantiated capability, that agents can take advantage of. And then Studio specifically is now well, because this is so much more than just summarize this, or like, when I get this page, do X and Y. No, Studio becomes that thing where you can start to bring in stuff from Figma or GitHub or whatever, and really have kind of that broad space. Like Studio is the right word to use it. And it is about empowering those folks inside of your organization who are incredibly brilliant at their job. They may not be engineers, they may not be coding, but they can think in if-then scenarios, and they have a real penchant for solving problems and like finding workarounds. Like this is that. Like if you've ever met a tinkerer, as I like to say, inside of a world where they're just like, they take a thing and they turn it sideways and they're like, you know what, I think I could build a better version of this, or I could play around with it. Like Rovo Studio to build agents and connect workflows together to automate and do magical things with generative AI. Like that's the whole idea behind it.
I love this so much. And also, in addition, I just wanted to point out that Rovo is soon coming to mobile. You can actually sign up for the mobile beta if you want, coming to iOS first and then Android. Also, as I mentioned, Rovo is rolling out across other apps, so that also means it should come with additional skills for interacting with the other Atlassian platform apps. That includes the potential future to be able to work with your third-party apps that interact with the Teamwork graph as well. So there is so much goodness coming with Rovo, and soon it will have personal memory, so it will remember who you are, what have you worked on, what are your preferences. I'm very excited about this because I work in a very particular way. So I'm very curious to see what exactly can Rovo do for me? How can, my teammates know how to work with me. Can Rovo learn how to work with me? Like truly. Also, Rovo is learning how to read PDFs and spreadsheets. In fact, we'll be getting a new Rovo desktop app where we can say, hey, here's a spreadsheet of a bunch of customer feedback. Could you see if this duplicates work items? And oh, it does? Okay. What about the ones that it doesn't duplicate? Would you create new work items for me from my desktop? And Rovo will say, yes, I will. And then I will assign them to Sasha, because I guess that's what actually happens. Is that right, Sasha? Seems like it. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. We are almost out of time, which is breaking my heart. Really quickly, we have a question. What tools do we have for auditing Rovo? We just talked about analytics. We don't have too much analytics on what Rovo's up to. Do we have any auditing tools coming or here?
We do. Where I don't have deep knowledge on this one, but the Meet Rovo Everywhere post that you pulled up actually talks about visibility, control, and confidence, and where what they're really trying to do is give more fine-grained permissions, and and in the conversation logs that you can track and then refine the outcomes. I don't have a ton more info on that specifically, but that is again an area where we've heard customers loud and clear that it's like, we love these powerful tools. Give us insight, give us oversight, give us governance, let us understand. It's not about blocking it, it's just about understanding the outputs of it, so that where we see scenarios where there's a pocket of knowledge that's not being incorporated into the teamwork graph, and that's skewing the results in whatever way, like we can know that and we can be involved.
And just
yes.
a heads up here, sorry Matt, so not all people know, but in general, if your teammate is not able to access specific documentation, specific knowledge in Confluence, it doesn't mean that the Rovo will bring it in. Rovo, it looks into user permissions. So if, for example, your junior employee is looking for some C-level executive report, he won't be able to access it unless they have permission for this. And also you can set up permissions for agents, what information you want them to access to. And you can, restrict something, or you can, give access to everything. So this is what is available right now.
Yes, thank God Rovo understands permissions. If you don't understand permissions, we actually just added a really great permissions and restrictions in Confluence video. You can check that out on our YouTube channel because there's a lot of other great stuff happening here. Speaking of great stuff, I am at the point where I have to say thank you so much to all of our guests for joining. Patricia, Margot, Dustin, Javi, Sasha, this has been incredible. I wish we could hang on for another hour, but we're out of airtime. I have to go buy more YouTube credits to stay on, and I just don't have the money for that. So thank you all for joining. This has been really, really fantastic. Hope to have you all back on again. We should party like this again. You're definitely all invited to the data center funeral, if not sooner. All right. Thanks for joining, everybody. And thank you, everybody in the live chat for joining as well. It was so fantastic to have you all on here. This has been such a great time. Thank you for all the great questions, especially those ones where we're like, hey, what about this? Did you think about this? It turns out the Atlassians are thinking about it, but it's so nice to be able to get together and talk about these things, especially when there's so many new things happening. It's like, okay, new and exciting, but like, how does this work for our team? There are so many other things I wish we could have gotten into, like the introduction to units for enterprises and assets, which are now available across the entire cloud platform, but we just don't have the time. So Google that. Like and subscribe here on our YouTube. Please subscribe to our weekly Confluence newsletter. We're about to release our 100th issue. We've been doing this for over 2 years. Yeah, we still have issues here at K15T, even though Jira does not. But y'all, it has been such a great time here today. Please check out our YouTube video and our other content and continue to join us as we explore how to use Confluence to share what you do best. Bye, everybody.